I'd like to start off by recognizing that we all have our own views and opinions on this matter, and I respect your views, and I just ask that you respect mine as well. Now, we all know that running noses and coughing and fevers are not the kind of gift we want to give this season. According to the CDC, there was 163.8 million doses of the vaccine, the flu vaccine, distributed in the United States by the end of November 2018. The flu vaccine is not supposed to get rid of the flu. It doesn't eliminate your chances of getting the flu. It just reduces the risk of us getting the flu. Although there are many different arguments about the flu vaccine and whether or not we should get it, the fact is that we don't know if it's individually right for us not to get it until we've talked to our doctors. At this time, we're going to talk about a few things. The first of these things is we're going to talk about why the flu vaccine could be dangerous for us. The second thing is we're going to talk about what the experts say. That would be the CDC and the doctors and the researchers behind making the flu vaccine. The third thing we're going to talk about is we're going to bring up some questions that you can ask your doctors if you're not sure what to ask. Let's jump right into what could possibly be bad about the flu. Why should we not be able to get it? There are many myths about the flu vaccine. I'm sure we've all heard some of them. Some of them include that by getting the flu vaccine, we can get the actual flu. Others include concerns about the injection site of the needles and getting infected there. But there are only a few reasons that are medically legitimate reasons to not get the flu vaccine. Among these are allergic reactions. Now, allergic reactions, depending on how severe your allergy is, can be very serious and life-threatening. So it should be taken into consideration about what the ingredients of the flu vaccine are and whether or not you're allergic to them. According to the Food Allergy Research and Education, egg allergies is one of the most common food allergies among children, second only to milk. Most children eventually grow out of the egg allergy. So it's pretty important for parents to make sure that they understand that and to be concerned and cautious about getting the specific type of flu vaccine for their children. We'll go into the different types in a little bit. The second is if you have children less than 6 months old, they're simply too young to get the vaccine. It could be very dangerous to them. Another is if you have a high fever. High fevers are dangerous to get the flu vaccine because sometimes you can get the symptoms of the flu from the vaccine, and that's just your body's way of letting you know that you're fighting off something. So if you have a fever and you get the flu vaccine, it's very likely that your fever will rise higher and causing hospitalization. Another one is somewhat of a myth. Some people believe that if you're over the age of 65, you should not get the flu vaccine because your immune system can't handle it. It's too weak. This can be true with some, but it's not true for all. The CDC, let's look at what the experts say. The CDC says that there are different ways of making the flu vaccine. There's 3 different ways, in fact. And the first one, and the most common one that we all know of, is the egg-based flu vaccine. This is where they take the flu virus that has been growing, and they stick it into a fertilized chicken egg, and then they let it grow for several days. After a few days, they will take the fluid that is infected and they will extract it from the egg, and that's what the vaccine comes from. They kill off the flu virus, and then they do tests on it, and they clean it up and they test it, and once they're done with the tests and they pass all the tests, then they send it out for the public use. The second way that they make the flu vaccine it's a cell-based. Now, this is an interesting one. The cell-based is actually grown in an animal. They take animal cells and they inject them with the flu virus first, and they let it sit there in the live animal for several days. Once several days have passed, they take the animal and they extract the infected cells fluid, and then they clean up they kill the cell, the flu vaccine, the virus. They clean it up and they test it, and they test it until they're satisfied and it passes all their tests. And after they're done with the tests, they send it off to the public. So that one is a great one for people who do have egg allergies, mainly children and adults that never grew out of it. The third way that they make the flu vaccine is called, I always have a hard time pronouncing this name. It's recombinant. Recombinant. I always say that wrong. I apologize for that. This is actually, I was quite disturbed on how this was made when I did the research. It's completely safe. It just sounds a little weird. What they do is they isolate the HA gene from the naturally occurring recombinant vaccine virus. And they take the HA gene and they combine it with portions of another virus, and then they put it in some cells. These cells that they put them in are insect cells.
Your turn.
And they let them sit there. And they let them sit there for a few days. And then they take those cells and they extract the fluid, the infected fluid, and they kill off the virus, and they test it until they're satisfied. And once they're satisfied and it passes all the tests, they send it off to the public to be given and administered. Now, talking about administering them, some people are worried about infection wounds from the injections, and so they don't want the shot with the needle. Well, there are other ways of doing that as well. There is obviously the syringe with the needle that you can get stuck with. That is one method. There's also another easier method if you don't want injections. It's a nasal spray. And what they do is they take the flu vaccine, and they put it in a bottle and they spray it up your nose. And it's quite effective that way. The third way is a jet injection. That sounds weird. The jet injection is an injection without a needle. They pressurize the flu vaccine and they force it out so fast of a small little hole against your skin, so fast that it goes and injects itself without having a needle in your skin. It sounds kind of weird, I'll admit, but it's pretty cool and it is effective. Now, all of these different ways of getting the vaccine and which vaccine to get can be quite confusing. The CDC understands this, and they recommend talking to your doctor, your primary care physician, in order to get and diagnose which one you need. That's what the doctors are trained to do. Now, since you don't know, if you don't know where to start with these questions on what the flu vaccine is and how do you start these conversations with your doctor, there are a few simple questions that you can ask. The first is it safe? You can ask your doctor, is getting the vaccine safe for me? Because it is a very individual process. The second question you can ask is, what happens if I don't get the vaccine? Your doctor can go over with you the different ways of the different scenarios that can happen if you don't get the vaccine. Another question you can ask your doctor is, why is it recommended every year? Some people are quite concerned with this. They think, oh, I got it last year, I'm good. Well, talk to your doctor because you might not be. Every year they do different things, and your doctor will know more about that. Another question you can ask is, when is the flu season, and when should I get vaccinated for it? And it's also important to talk to your doctor about any concerns or questions that you might have that are maybe not so common about the flu vaccine. There are so many ways that the flu vaccine is made and administered that almost anybody can get the flu vaccine. It's important to remember that when you're talking with your doctor about it, debates and discussions are good, but please don't argue with your doctor because he is the expert. He or she is the expert and does know about them, and an argument is only going to make people feel bad. The flu vaccine should be not based on, your decision should not be based on hearsay and what your friends are doing, but it should be individualized with your doctor, because we don't want to be the ones giving the flu as a gift this season. Thank you.